The glass rattled so violently, I honestly thought the entire door was about to collapse inward. 3 men in police uniforms stood outside, one gripping a crowbar, another holding a hammer, shouting, "Open up. This property is under HOA violation." My gut clenched, a cold knot forming in my stomach. But before I could even take a step, my wife moved past me. She didn't flinch at the shattered glass. She didn't look afraid, not even for a second. Instead, she raised a folder with bold red letters stamped across the front. "Wanted," their faces printed clearly beneath it. The men froze like statues. My wife's voice sliced through the tension, calm and precise. "Funny thing," she said, "you boys have been under investigation for weeks." Their fake badges caught the sunlight, shiny and convincing, but their eyes betrayed them. They hadn't expected this. One of them tried to bluff, shouting, "This is official HOA business. Step aside." But I could already see the panic creeping in. I stared at my wife, stunned, trying to process what was happening. She had never told me she was involved in anything like this. She tilted her head just slightly, as if to say, "Trust me." The man with the crowbar shoved it harder against the doorframe, trying to force his way in. But she didn't budge. Instead, she leaned in just enough and whispered, loud enough for all of them to hear, "You broke into the wrong house today." In that brief silence, something dark settled in my chest. The HOA wasn't just sending letters anymore. They were sending men dressed as cops to smash down doors. The leader clenched his teeth, pressing the crowbar harder, as if brute force could erase the lie. "Step back, ma'am, or this gets ugly," he barked. But my wife didn't step back. She stepped closer. Her FBI badge swung forward, catching the light, and suddenly, the world went quiet, so quiet, it felt like even the lake outside had frozen. "You've been impersonating police officers," she said casually. "You're already wanted for impersonation, fraud, and extortion. And now, you've damaged federal property." She nodded toward the broken glass behind me. The men shifted uneasily. The one with the hammer raised it higher, trying to look tough. My fists clenched, heart pounding, but my wife lifted her hand slightly toward me. "Don't move." She still controlled the room. Then, in a calm voice that somehow sounded more dangerous than shouting, she added, "Smile for the hidden cameras. Every move you make is already being uploaded." That broke their confidence, one of them muttered. "She's bluffing." But another's eyes flicked toward the corners of the cabin, scanning for cameras. My wife leaned in, her voice dropping to a razor-thin whisper. "You want to find out if I'm bluffing? Go ahead. Make one more move." For the first time, the leader hesitated. His grip tightened on the crowbar, but his bravado cracked just enough for me to see it. "They came here to intimidate us, to scare us into giving up." They had no idea the person inside wasn't prey. She was the hunter. The leader finally shoved the crowbar against the doorframe, trying to force his way in. Before I could react, my wife snapped her fingers. 2 black SUVs rolled up behind them, tires crunching on gravel. Real federal agents poured out, weapons drawn, shouting commands that cut through the air. "Drop it. Hands where we can see them." The fake cops froze, their entire act collapsing in seconds. One dropped the hammer so fast it thudded against the porch. The leader still tried to save face. "This is HOA jurisdiction. You can't." My wife held up a thick file sealed with an official stamp. "Wrong again," she said, flipping it open. "This isn't HOA business. This is a federal crime ring. Property scams, staged evictions, stolen homes. And you 3 just handed me everything I needed by breaking my door." Their eyes widened. They weren't just caught, they were trapped. The SUVs blocked every escape route, and more agents were closing in. I looked at my wife, completely stunned. For weeks, I thought she was buried in paperwork, phone calls, late nights. In reality, she'd been running an undercover sting operation right under my nose. The leader finally let go of the crowbar, but it was far too late. Agents swarmed him, forcing him to the ground and reading his rights. My wife turned back to me, calm as ever, and whispered, "Told you to trust me." Just when I thought it was over, one of the men being cuffed shouted something that made my stomach drop. "You don't even know who's really behind this." The agents pushed them against the SUVs, but his words echoed like a warning. My wife's eyes narrowed. She crouched near the ringleader, her voice sharp. Who's behind this? He smirked through split lips, almost enjoying it. You think the three of us did this alone? We were hired. The HOA president. She's not who you think she is. A chill ran through me. The agents tried to pull him away, but my wife raised a hand. Wait. Even they paused. She leaned closer. Names. Give me names. He laughed, low and bitter. She calls herself Karen to you. To us, she's the banker, buying properties, forcing families out, and you? You are next. He glanced at me with a sick grin. Why do you think your HOA fees tripled overnight? My chest tightened. The letters, the sudden threats, the warnings about my land not being up to code. It all clicked. This was never about grass length or fence color. This was about control. My wife stood, jaw set. We need to move. If she knows her men failed, she'll erase her tracks fast. She looked at me, urgency clear in her eyes. And she'll come after you. I swallowed hard. For the first time, it truly sank in. Karen wasn't just a nosy neighbor with fake rules. She was orchestrating something far bigger, far darker, and we had just ripped away her mask. Before I could even catch my breath, one of the SUV radios crackled with a sharp, chilling message. Target leaving residence now. Repeat. The HOA president is on the move. The agents snapped into action instantly, radios buzzing, boots pounding the gravel. One SUV tore down the dirt road, sirens flashing. My wife grabbed my arm before I could process a thing. She's not running, she muttered under her breath. She's repositioned. A minute later, tires screeched in the opposite direction. A black luxury car barreled down the hill. Karen's face twisted with fury in the windshield. She's charging straight at us. One agent shouted, "Move." Another barked, pulling me aside as the car swerved violently toward the cabin. The bumper clipped an SUV, sparks flying. Karen leaned out, screaming like a madwoman. This is my land. You don't belong here. Her entitlement and rage cut through the chaos. My wife didn't flinch. She squared herself, stepping forward, daring Karen to come closer. The agents raised their weapons. Karen slammed on the brakes just feet from the porch. Dust billowed, and she stepped out in high heels and a blazer, waving stacks of papers like weapons. Thieves, she yelled, scattering them on the ground. Our legal eviction notices. This man owes us thousands. He's a trespasser, and you're protecting a criminal. Her voice carried across the lake. Neighbors peeked out from their homes. One sheet landed at my feet. No seal, no signature, just a crudely stamped HOA logo fake. My wife picked it up, holding it aloft like evidence. Calmly, she said, "Karen, you forged legal documents, hired felons to impersonate police, and tried to run over federal agents. Do you really think anyone's buying this anymore?" Karen's face twitched. Her confidence faltered, but she forced a cold smile. "You don't get it," she muttered. "I didn't forge these. I own the judge." The crowd had grown, phones out, recording every move. Karen noticed them and switched tactics, raising her voice so all could hear. "These agents are abusing power. This man refused to pay HOA fees, and now they're staging a circus to protect him." Some neighbors murmured in doubt, but others whispered what they had seen. The fake cops, the smashed glass, the SUVs. Tension snapped like a taut wire. My wife didn't shout. She stepped to the center, holding up a fake eviction paper for all to see. "Look closely," she said. "No judge's seal, no courthouse signature, just a cheap printer stamp. This isn't law, it's fraud. It ends tonight." She let the page flutter down, captured by every camera phone. Karen's smile faltered, but she wasn't finished. She brandished her phone, waving it. "You think paper proves anything? One call and the sheriff himself will drag you out." She hit dial, putting it on speaker. A gruff voice answered immediately. "Karen, I told you I'd handle it. Do I need to come down there myself?" The crowd gasped. She did have someone in law enforcement backing her. My wife's jaw tightened, her eyes burning with calm authority. She pressed a small device from her jacket. Suddenly, the voice on the phone replayed louder from a speaker and continued, "As long as no one finds out about the money transfers, keep him quiet and it's yours." The crowd erupted, gasping, shouting, Phones raised. The sheriff's voice had become undeniable evidence of corruption. Karen's face drained of color. My wife turned to the neighbors, voice sharp and unwavering. This isn't about HOA rules. This is about power, money, and intimidation, and it ends tonight. Karen stumbled toward her car, panic in her eyes, but agents were closing in. Her heels clicked frantically against the gravel as she tried to escape, but two agents intercepted her at the driver's side. She spun toward the crowd, desperation twisting her face. "Don't believe them," she screamed. "This is a setup. He's a criminal. You're being lied to." The neighbors weren't buying it. One shouted, "Then why'd you send fake cops?" Another yelled, "I saw you try to run him over." Phones stayed locked on her every move. Her lies unraveled faster than she could spin them. In a final, frantic move, Karen lunged for my wife, reaching for the recording device. "Give me that," she shrieked. But my wife was faster, twisting Karen's wrist and bringing her to the ground with practiced control. An agent swooped in, snapping cuffs around her wrists as the crowd cheered. "Karen Miller," one agent announced loudly, "under arrest for fraud, conspiracy, impersonation of law enforcement, and attempted assault with a deadly weapon." The neighbors erupted in applause, voices rising in relief. Karen thrashed, red-faced, spitting venom. "You'll regret this. I own this town. You can't stop me." My wife leaned close, whispering, only for her to hear, "Wrong family, wrong country." The crowd roared, some chanting, "Justice." As agents led Karen into the SUV, my wife finally turned to me, shoulders easing for the first time. "It's over," she whispered, though in her eyes was more than relief, it was pride. She had fought for our home, for the law, and for the truth. I wrapped my arm around her, watching neighbors still recording. This moment would spread far beyond the lake. Finally, I could speak the words that had burned inside me from the start. I didn't fight for this land to hand it over to people like her. Not now, not ever.